Welcome to episode 60 of Crosstown Cardboard. I'm Carmine at Carmine's Cards, the sports reporter. Technically, my title is sports storyteller, which I think is pretty cool. Hopefully, I'm able to fulfill that down here in Greenville, South Carolina. And Craig at New York City Sports Cards, the math teacher and the soccer coach in New York City, originally from Long Island. And we're talking about a couple visits that took place in New York City for episode 60. We're calling it a quick trip to the LCS. And that's, of course, local card shop or local card store. I think it's a little bit of a choose your own adventure for the final word. But we're going to talk about a couple quick trips to the LCS that Craig took and just, a few of the reasons why we love local card stores or shops and the experience of that, which can hopefully relate to a lot of people. And then we really have a lot to get to as far as updates with our own collections, some purchases, some sales, a card that has a weird coincidence between the both of us that we can't really figure out how exactly it happened just yet, a little eBay action, and an update on my Larry Bird 1981 Topps rookie auto and the PSA 9 with a 10 that so many people have been trying to help me out with, commenting on YouTube, Instagram, and it's just been a really nice, feeling from people trying to help me get this card. But Craig, I know it's an action-packed episode. How are you doing, and how are the trips to the LCS?
I am feeling fantastic, and good to see you. Love the Knicks shirt. Unfortunately, we're not in our winning ways right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I took a couple of quick trips to the LCS this past week, and it was amazing. And we were talking about it before the episode where I don't know if it's just like this in city life or what, but everyone's got, their routines and their places that they go.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you get your haircut from the same guy or gal every time, that sense of familiarity. It's like you like going back there. Maybe there's somewhere you get your morning coffee. You get your coffee from the same person. There's that feeling of community and familiarity and like comfort. And that's how I feel when I go to my two card shops. The shops I'm referring to are Bleecker Trading and Cards and Coffee. We'll group them together because they are next to each other. And Alex's MVP, which is on the Upper West Side. So I'm very fortunate to have two card shops within pretty close to me. And no matter what I do, buy, browse, just going there, it gives me just such a sense of relaxation, and I could de-stress. And you block out everything else going on and you just see what's going on in the card shop.
Yeah, and that's especially what you want in a hobby situation too, because you're already going to relieve stress, to have a good time, to learn more, to explore something about something you enjoy, collecting cards. So that already puts you in that mindset to want to. It's not like you're at the grocery store and it's a chore to go there. It's a nice thing. And so if people have that same attitude or they receive you in the same way, that's gonna make it a great experience for you.
It does feel like a chore going to the grocery store, but I kind of like browsing in the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trader Joe's is not the worst place to just schmooze.
Oh no, Trader Joe's though, compared to thank goodness we're not sponsored by any of these people, but the A&P, Trader Joe's, you got some high end stuff, and you can get creative, a little cotton candy popcorn, whatever. You go to the A&P, you're not getting that same variety and intrigue, I don't think. But
by the way, funny you say that about local card shop and store, because when you and I did a voice to text to you the other day coming up with the title for this episode, or at least a theme. So my wife said, what is LCS? Is that local card store? So I said, well, I've always referred to it as local card shop, but I guess when you put it that way, it could be either.
Yeah, it could be. No, I agree. I like shop because shop has a little bit more of a hominess to it. So if I was going to make a comparison, I would say shop is kind of like house. Oh, no. Shop is like home and store is like house, if you're referring to where you live. House is kind of like the building, and home, you're underneath the blanket on the couch. It's got a little more homey. So that's why I like shop over store.
I like it. Well, we really went on a tangent here, but
yeah, that's okay.
I love it. I love it.
So let's get into this trip to the shop.
So I had last Wednesday, I believe it was. I had some time or Monday. I can't keep track of the days anymore. But I knew I finally wanted to check out Bleecker Trading's new storefront. So I texted Jake over at Bleecker, made sure that he was going to be there. So I stopped in. Really fun storefront. If you've ever been to Bleecker, you know how it works. It's like a lounge area in a backyard. But even just the 5-10 minutes I was there, I got to hang with Jake. I got to hang with Sharon, Black Jaded Wolf. Mark Zablo was there, who owns Bleecker Trading. There was Mike from Flushing Breaks, and there was another guy who I feel really terrible that I'm blanking on his name right now, but he is Swan Collectibles on Instagram, and he works at the storefront now, working like the front desk. Okay. And this is, by the way, me trying to kill time as I look up Swan Collectibles Instagram to remember
that's
his
thoughtful.
name.
That's thoughtful of you. That's thoughtful of you.
Yeah. Jack was his name, and he was a UFC collector, and he happened to be friends with Cards by Joe. So this community is all we're all friends here.
Wow.
I know, but it was really nice going to Bleecker. They have a great selection of some higher end cards. They got prices on everything. The value boxes are really solid with a good mishmash of things. So for me, just walking into the shop and buying a few things, nothing really too high end, but just seeing familiar faces is a pretty valuable experience for me. I'm lucky to have that.
Yeah. No, that's great. So what'd you get from there?
Really random, because I'm setting up at a show this upcoming Saturday, the Secaucus show on November 11th, Saturday in New Jersey. And I need some inventory. So a bunch of random stuff. A Bob Lilly on-card autograph with the Hall of Fame inscription.
Okay.
A triple autograph jersey of Teddy Bridgewater, Blake Bortles, and Johnny Manziel.
Wow. Okay. You know what's funny? I saw Johnny Manziel at the National this year. I saw him walking out. His hat was super low. And I looked. I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And by the time I turned around and recognized that it was Johnny Manziel, he was out the side door. We were about the same height. He was definitely a little bit, better build than me. But, yeah, it was interesting. But that's cool because that's an iconic, Heisman Trophy winner. Like that being on the card. Those three quarterbacks are not the worst. I mean, somebody probably picked that up.
Yeah, just an interesting card, right? A Jimmy Graham game-worn patch. We got a little chunkiness over there just because it's game-worn. And I'm kind of embarrassed by this one. Please don't judge. A Mac Jones patch. It's not even associated with anything, but it's from his rookie year. And like I said, I just need some inventory. I just need some inventory to have out at the show, okay?
You mother flipping flipper. You mother flipping. I cannot believe you. How many episodes was it ago that we did I'm a game used guy? And now, what is it? Back to back, 3 episodes in a row after that. We're talking either what is it? Player worn or not associated? No, I'm kidding. I don't blame
you. You shouldn't be kidding. I'm ashamed, but it's a little bit of
it's not a bad card. It's probably somebody get that.
It cost me $10. I'll survive. Yeah. And I got a really nice gift from my father as well. So that was my little my haul from Bleecker. But going back to the theme, I was there for like 20 minutes. It takes me probably takes me 20 minutes to get there from work. So it's really nice to just have that local shop in Bleecker Trading where I know the people. I'm familiar with the area. You can just pop in, say hello. The people are nice, the prices are fair, and just hang out with your friends.
Yeah. What was the gift for Dad? Or I know he's a listener, so I don't want to give anything away.
I mean, if he listens, it's a Sandy Koufax card, but I'm saving. I'll stash it away for Father's Day.
Oh, okay. Because I remember last year at this time. Isn't that funny? We can refer to that now. Last year at this time on the podcast, you were having a mystery gift for your dad, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I got him the Sandy Koufax rookie card. What a gift! What a gift that was.
Yeah. Okay. So the other trip to the LCS, because you had 2 quick trips to the LCS, right?
That's right. So Saturday, I was coaching. I had a game on Randall's Island. Are you familiar with Randall's Island at all?
Randall's Island is where Pele came to the U.S. to play, and right next to where you usually practice.
And so Pele played. I forgot what the name of the stadium was, but it's now Icon Stadium, where my dad used to play high school football there.
Wow.
My dad and Pele, they just shared the pitch.
Icons.
Nice. So Randall's Island is a big strip of land on the east side of Manhattan, just over the water, a ton of athletic fields and stuff. And so I had a game, 2:00 on Saturday, beautiful day. Game ended. I decided to walk home, probably like 45-minute to an hour walk, but you're walking on the water. Wow. You walk over.
That's nice. Good for you to treat yourself to that alone time and get a little quiet time. That's good.
Yeah, that's my time to refresh. You got a beautiful view of Manhattan. You're on the water. You're on the bridge. You see the sights. It's really nice. But I walked past Alex's MVP on the way home. So I'm pretty lucky that here I am coaching, and on my walk home, I passed my other local card store. Alex's MVP. If you live in Manhattan, you're familiar with it. Love the guys that work there, listen, I'll be honest, not everyone says the same. But I've developed a really good relationship with them over the years. Alex and Fred. Fred is a former teacher and principal, retired, has his pension, now owns the card store. Listen, goals right there.
I would love to see you owning a card store in your retirement. I think, and by the way, maybe me, being a co-owner. That sounds like a. Now I know there's a lot of headaches with owning a card store or any business, but I feel like we could hopefully do it in a way where it's not like what we're relying on for income, and then it's more of a like Bleecker, kind of a social club. I think that'd be cool.
I do like that. We know the right people will get on board. So let's throw us owning a card store in the tickler file. We'll revisit that in 20, 30 years when our pensions kick in.
Cool. Okay. Yep.
So anyway, I walk in. I know the layout very well. The turnover and inventory is not crazy. So you do see a lot of the same stuff, which it's not an easy thing to do. But I was walked home from my game and my soccer stuff still with me. I'm just browsing through the shelves. Guy next to me turns to me and says, "Are you New York City sports cards?" I am a listener of the podcast. And I'm like, wow, thank you. That is pretty damn cool. I'm just browsing through the shelves of the same card store I visit every week. And here's a guy I've never met, Steven. Shout out Steven for being a loyal listener. And he said, hey, I listened to the podcast. It's great stuff. We talked for a couple minutes. And something he said at the beginning, and he also said it at the end when I left and we said goodbye. He said, yeah, keep doing it. So to me, that was like, all right, we enjoy this anyway, but as far as putting out sports card content, for someone to actually say that in person, like I'm a fan, I'm a listener, keep on doing it, pretty motivating. So that was a really nice
great.
moment.
That's great. Shout out to Steven on that one. That's super cool because I know I've gotten that, a few times for the podcast, definitely, and especially at the National, we did get a few people coming up and talking about the podcast, and also in the sports broadcasting career, being on camera in the city that you're in, the local news and everything, and that never gets old when people genuinely appreciate something and take the time to tell you, and it's always a meaningful, nice thing. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So Steven, he lived in Brooklyn. He came on the way up to visit the card shop, so it was great to connect with him there. And I had actually been to Alex's earlier in the week, but again, I picked up some random stuff because, like I said, I'm setting up at a show. I don't have a ton of inventory. I'm not here to buy the same high-level Justin Herbert, quarterback, young rookie cards and sell them for hundreds of dollars. I'm looking to just pick up some random cool stuff that speaks to me and have that out at my table.
Right.
I mean, here's a perfect example. Look at this card I picked up. The brand is called Authenticated Ink. It's a Jackie Robinson card with a 1945 penny in it.
So wow. You know what, that card makes that card, I've never thought of that combination, but that makes a lot of sense. I do have to say, with the penny in there. But so it's from the year. So, but the card is recent.
They make, if you look it up, they make a whole bunch of other players and actors, I believe. Like Michael Phelps has one of these, but the shop had a Babe Ruth as well. I don't know what it was, but I think, like I said, I paid $15 for this.
1945 penny.
It's a Jackie Robinson card with a penny in it. I'm going to have that out of my show, and someone is going to look at it, and it's going to start a conversation.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. That is a great point. And not a lot of people think about that in their inventory when they're picking things up. You're thinking values, you're thinking well-known players. I mean, of course, Jackie Robinson, an all-time legend socially and with the baseball. But, and with the race relations, everybody knows that. But to have a penny in there with the iconic player, that's going to be, and also another key, it's tough to value that, I'd imagine. It's like
there's sales of like similar cards, different personalities and athletes, but regardless, it's something different. But here's what else I got in between this past Saturday's visit and the visit to Alex's MVP on Wednesday. DJ Chark and Calais Campbell, Panini, event or player worn, but from the Pro Bowl.
Oh, that's
cool.
Look
at that. With like a star from the Pro Bowl on it. Listen, it's player worn. I get it. Okay, enough.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. It's cool because it has the Pro Bowl thing for sure.
Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl stars. So player worn uniforms.
Yeah, Calais Campbell is also very likable with his his voice is unique to himself.
Yeah, and this is from 2003 Topps Chrome I'm going to be at a show in Jersey. Look at this Jeremy Shockey Gold X Fractor, still with the seal numbered out of 101.
That's cool. And it
Yeah,
pops.
right?
It pops with the navy blue on the Giants.
Definitely pops. I got a Jay-Z card from Topps Pristine.
Okay. Looking fly.
A Frankie DeYoung Merlin Gold out of 50. Just another soccer card. A Porzingis Immaculate base card out of 99. Let me tell you, I had a whole stack of Immaculate base cards and National Treasures base cards. They're nice and thick. They hold really well. You get
it is a nice card.
You get what you pay for there. And then a Topps Chrome Orange Refractor.
Not if you get it out of a box. I would be devastated if I was pulling those type of cards and I'm like, yes, I paid however much for this box. I got to put Porzingis base card.
Point is, the card, it's a nice thick stock in the card.
Yes. No, I got your point.
Yeah. So fun going into the card shop a couple times. In those 2 visits, I spent under $100 just to pick up some random stuff. We'll see what kind of attraction it gets at the table this weekend. But any thoughts on that?
No, great card experiences. I mean, you go into 2 places, people at both spots. You pick up. I really like the unique pickup with the Jackie Robinson. That's the one, honestly, out of all the cards that you mentioned, that sticks out to me the most. Even though it's not the highest value or may not be the best purchase, but just because, like you said, it can stop somebody. You talk about somebody, a legendary player. And by the way, who better to have a conversation about and actually get to know somebody than a Jackie Robinson card breaking the color barrier? And it immediately lends itself to not only a conversation, but a potentially meaningful conversation. I'm not going to say you're going to dive into race relations on, at a cards table, but you could say, isn't that great? Like what he did for the sport, what he did for America. And instantly you got a good, foundation of a rapport built up. So
I might learn something as a result.
Hey, there you go.
And to top off that trip, I got some pizza on the way home because it doesn't get more New York than walking home over a bridge on the water to get home. You stop at a card shop, you stop to get some pizza along the way. So I took this picture. I just thought it was cool. They still have the outdoor dining setup. Yeah. So it's cards, pizza, overlooking some traffic. Posted it on my Instagram story, and for some reason, this one I had dozens of people like it, acknowledge it.
Yeah,
including even Nat Turner, president of PSA, threw me a fire emoji on this.
Wow. You were mentioning like trying to figure out how things really take off sometimes on the last episode.
Yeah,
and that's interesting. But I mean, you're in New York City. It's clearly the city. You got pizza and you got cards. It looks like every grown man's dream who who has any interest in sports or sports cards. So I get why it's the simple things. It's the simple pleasures.
So what this all comes down to is, in a matter of a week, 3 trips to the LCS. I really didn't spend a lot of money, but I had great times at all of them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I had trips to the LCS, but virtually. So Instagram, eBay, you know what I mean? So it's kind of not quite the same. So first thing I want to do, I have a few updates, but the first thing is I want to get your thoughts on this Larry Bird deal that I've been talking about. And just to recap and bring anybody up to speed who is testing us out, for the first time as far as listening. This card is a 1981 Topps Larry Bird rookie card, but it's autographed and it's graded a PSA 9 with a 10 autograph. And I'll pull it up right here. So here's what the card looks like. It's a pop 10 in Larry Bird's rookie auto. It's also with white ink if you're watching on the YouTube. So I've been trying to go after this card for a little while. A couple weeks now, actually, on Instagram, messaging the guy back and forth. And I got up to, this is where, on the last episode of Crosstown Cardboard, I had a $2,000 offer plus a Joe Burrow tie-dye rookie card valued around $500, numbered out of 25. Plus, I pay goods and services fees. So this is like a $2,600 offer on the Bird rookie auto, which Craig is shaking his head. He thinks I thought that was an extremely strong offer.
Oh, too strong is what I'm saying.
Too strong. Yeah.
Too strong in hindsight.
Too strong. the comp I was looking at was a PSA 9 with a 9 auto that recently went for about 1,500, and that was a fixed price on eBay. So, I mean, if it went to bids, who knows what would have gone on. But somebody bought that one for 1,500. So I figured PSA 9 with a 10 auto on this one, put a premium on it. Anyway, so this guy kept leaving me on red about 4 times. So the Sunday after we record, Craig, and I don't think you've heard any of this because I like to get your reaction on the show. So he left me on red. So that's where we left off last episode. Then he wrote me again, sorry, I was at another show. And I left him on red this time because I'm like, I'm done. I was so soured by the whole experience. It took so long to get back to me with this offer on the table, trying to make it work. So then he messages me the next morning. He said 2.2K, and you cover goods and services fees and give me the borough. Gets the deal done. If not, no worries. So he basically raised the price $200 on me for my offer of 2,000 net to him plus the borough to 2.2 net to him plus the borough. So I wrote back and I said, appreciate you getting back to me, but I'll pass at that price. Thank you for the offer. He said, I appreciate the conversation and the offers. Now he's like responding immediately. And he said, if there are any rare bird autos that I find at shows, would you like me to send photos to you? I don't mind at all. And I said, me too. I appreciate the back and forth. Thank you. And definitely that would be great. I would love for you to send me some cards. And he's like, well, I'll be at the Dallas show, so I'll send you a photo if I see any rare birds. He sent me a photo of a Star 86 auto. So it was kind of cool, but I didn't like it. I said, I'll pass, but I appreciate you thinking of me. But I was kind of shocked by 2 things. One, I was shocked that he was responding so quickly after I denied him finally, because I was so thirsty leading up to this. So that was the thing that I was like, okay, now this is interesting that, he's getting back immediately. And then the second thing was being overly nice or maybe overcompensating for the way he had gone about this deal before. By now, instead of he wasn't responding to me at all, seeing I'm being left on red 3-4 times in a row throughout the course of a few days while I have this offer on the table. And now he's not only responding to me, he's offering to send me photos of cards at a show. So I'm like, this really flipped the script from I can't get you to even respond to now you're trying to go the extra mile. So I was a little bit, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Some's not adding up. Or, obviously when he has all the leverage and you're making the offers, balls in his court. He can answer you whenever he wants. All of a sudden, you're not interested. Now he's trying to play nice. I don't know. Maybe he really was just busy and out of show. Who are we to judge? All I know is between the communication, you finding out about the $300 comp and I think the $800 comp for the PSA 8.
PSA 8 with the 10 auto, yeah.
Yeah, you dodged a bullet not paying what you were about to pay for this. You would have great card, but you would have overpaid for it 100%. It will come up again at a cheaper price than that.
Yeah. The only thing that scares me with that is it being a pop 10 and the highest possible bird rookie auto grade I could get. Now I get the card itself isn't really rare. I think there's 160. I mean, there's a couple dozen probably bird rookie autos on eBay right now. I think there's 160 in the pop report that have been graded at all by PSA. So the card itself isn't really rare, and he's still signing. So who's to say that you couldn't increase the pop on the PSA 9 with the 10 auto in the future? Because it's increased pretty substantially over the past 2 years. Because one of my buddies, Splendid Sports Cards, Adam, who I went on his podcast, and he said this card was a pop 4 in 2021 when he got it. Now it's a pop 10. So, not a crazy increase, but yeah, I think, I thought that was a very strong offer, and I'm still confused by the communication there. Maybe he was, really busy and just leaving it on red, but I find that hard to believe with a $2,000 plus a $500 card offer on the table and reading it and, and happening a few times. So that kind of just left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, but yeah, I think I might get like a PSA 8 with a 10 auto or something around there. And I know I mentioned that possibility in the last episode. But what was great was that the support of people that I got on Instagram, like pointing me to other Bird rookie autos on eBay. And, one guy messaged me and he said, I listened to the show. My local card shop has this Bird rookie auto on eBay in the PSA 8 with a 10 auto, like you said. And I said, oh my gosh, thank you so much for listening and for pointing me to this card, like actually influencing my card collecting journey by being a listener and helping out and coming on this collection adventure with us. So I thought that was awesome. And I messaged the local card store on Instagram and I said, hey, I see you have this Bird rookie auto in the PSA 8 with a 10 auto listed for $1,200. The last one sold for $500. Would you take that? And they're like, no, we wouldn't. We've been getting offers around $1,000. And also a PSA 6 with a 10 auto recently went for more than $500. So I think the eye appeal is a big factor with this one too. The centering, especially since it's right on the midpoint of being in that vintage classification. So yeah, I didn't get to make that deal, but there's one on eBay right now for $500 that I've been thinking about.
PSA 8?
Yeah.
Would you really enjoy a PSA 9 5 times more than you would a PSA 8? I mean, I appeal being a factor as well. Point is, I think this card, a nice looking version of this card in a lower grade will pop up.
Yeah. There's PSA 7s also that look better than the PSA 8. Now let me ask you this, because I was talking to and thanks to our Wolfpack guys, Rob, the sports card therapist, and our guy Oz, the people's mailman from Cousins Collectibles, because I was bouncing a couple ideas off of those guys. Talked to them for like 45 minutes to an hour this week. It was great. Just talking about my deals, their deals, catching up about life. And they had some interesting perspectives on it too. That also helped me. But I have a question for you, Craig. If they're both the same price, and I got an option to get the PSA 8 Bird rookie auto with a 10 grade or a PSA 7 with a 10 auto grade version of the card, but the PSA 7 has better centering and the 8 is a little bit more off center but a higher grade, which one would you go with out of those if they're the same price, let's say?
If the centering on the 8 is still okay, then I'm going with the 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Like my Michael Jordan rookie is a PSA 8, but it's a little bit off center, but it's still super clean. So it's like, all right, it's not perfectly centered, but I'll survive. But
Yeah.
take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Not a vintage guy at all.
Right. Because I was talking to Rob, and he was, I didn't tell him I was going to bring it up on the show, but and we were talking about that, and he I mean, of course, you can argue either way. If you're more of a vintage guy, you're probably going to go with the eye appeal angle, and if you're more of a younger guy who doesn't really dabble as much in vintage like you and me, even though we do have a couple vintage items, maybe you'd go with the grade over the, that's an interesting thing we could say to comment on YouTube and give your take on. Like, would you rather have a better eye appeal but a PSA 7 or not as good of an eye appeal with a PSA 8? It's just an interesting thought there. So I'm holding off for now and just wait for the right moment, because there's a bunch of those Bird rookie autos out there that I'm sure I can pick one up for a reasonable price. So
yeah, you'll find that card again, no doubt.
Yeah. So
can we talk about that crazy coincidence of a card that's in my possession
Yes.
to yours, and then I want you to get into eBay, because
yeah,
I respect all these companies, different places, marketplaces to sell cards. eBay is still king, and it's not even close.
Yes, true.
All right, so I was able to purchase this beautiful Carmelo Anthony game-worn patch card.
Yep.
With the letter Y from the front of his uniform, with a little bit of the W. Well, you spoiled it if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks, Carmine.
Well, you already mentioned it. You said it verbally.
Yeah, you're right. But it's the Y from New York, game worn, obviously, because why would I ever buy a non-associated patch?
You're not a not associated guy. You're very associated.
Numbered out of 15. And I put this card on Instagram. No, I put something else on Instagram. And Prolific Sports Cards, who's a big Knicks collector, I randomly, this was Monday at 9:51 a.m. I very randomly responded to his Instagram story, and he very randomly responded to my Instagram story, totally unrelated, at the exact same time.
Wow.
And it's not like he's someone I interact with all the time. Rarely, to be honest. But we're Knicks fans.
Right. Yeah, I've done actually a few deals with him. Great guy.
So to make it even creepier, we both responded to ourselves Instagram stories, not about any of this card. And then I said, well, he said, what timing? And I said, well, to make it even creepier, look at my second Instagram story. And it was me posting this as a pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at this pickup on Card Ladder, and the card can be found, there's no way this is going to pull up on camera. There it is.
Oh, yeah, it does.
That card sold in May by none other than Prolific Sports Cards.
Oh, my gosh. That is weird.
So then I said, well, do you know who I bought that card from before I sold it to Freezer Buys, who I got it from? And he said, Carmine.
That's very strange.
To recap, me and Prolific Sports Cards randomly responded to each other's Instagram stories at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to do with this card. This card that I pulled up, this Carmelo Anthony Game Worn patch, was the next card on my Instagram story. The exact same card that Prolific himself sold back in May, and he got that card before that from you. So this card was once in your possession. Now it's in my possession to stay. Look at that. Thumbnail.
Nice. We always got the podcast people like, what are they doing? We got to get the YouTube thumbnail.
How crazy is that, though? The timing.
I know. No, that's very hard to believe because the picture that just made our thumbnail, that is the same card that I used to have that Craig now has. This photo on my Instagram was December 2nd, 2022. So it's been 11 months now, since I took this picture and posted it on Instagram.
Less than a year, that card made it from you to me. Wow. We had no idea. That's wild.
What a year of our podcast.
Oh, look at that. Full circle. Really, quite literally full circle.
Yeah. No, that is cool. That is cool. That's a great card, by the way. That patch is insane.
This card's staying with me. And I paid $100 for this. I will take Knicks cards like this, especially Melo, for $100 all day long.
Yeah, that patch is filthy.
Yep.
That's great.
eBay, baby.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of eBay, because that's where Prolific Sports Cards got that card that went to me, then went to you. We might as well go back to eBay. Like you said, full circle. Let's keep it going. So, Craig, we've been talking about how I need to free up some cash, because after the national, I got all those PC pickups that I went through in, our national recaps, and my money was low, which says a lot because I was willing to dip into the personal funds potentially for that Bird rookie auto. But anyway, so I'm like, I still need card money. So I took all these eBay photos to list my cards, and I've finally been getting around to it. So I listed this card, partly inspired by all the success you've had with listing rare cards on eBay, freeing them from the LCS, maybe a quick trip there, and putting it on eBay, freeing it into the card community, and making a big profit. Of course, I want to follow your lead in that regard and several others. So I don't mean to gas you up. So I listed this card on eBay that we've talked about before on the podcast, this Tim Tebow Leaf 1/1 game used logo. Okay. Listed that because I figured that'd probably be a perfect card to list because a Mets fan or a Tim Tebow fan, by the way, it's a baseball, when he was following his baseball dream after the NFL didn't work out so well, after a few years. But still an iconic player, Florida, 2 national titles, all that, Broncos playoff win. So I listed it up there, Craig. By the time I listed this at 2 a.m., by the time I got to the Clemson football game, which I was going to as a fan, and they beat Notre Dame, which was an awesome ranked win. But by the time I got there at 9 a.m., this card had sold.
Let me turn my mic on for that one. And I noticed it was you did buy it now. Not even best offer.
Thank you.
Paid?
Thank you. Yeah.
Paid for it?
Yeah. Paid
Boom.
everything. I got the shipping label printed. It's all good.
Now, you're someone who really hasn't done a lot of eBay.
Yeah.
During the course of us recording, you've done very little eBay sales. So I have
True.
2 questions for you. Why? Because like, why did it take you so long to get back on the train? And I did notice that you listed a few, maybe 8 to 10 cards on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Why buy it now and no best offer?
Both really good questions. The first one is mainly having to do with time, of having enough time and, not relaxing on my weekend as much and being a little more proactive with, this listing of the cards, taking the photos, taking the time to put them on there. But really, I realized, if you just sit down and actually do it, it doesn't take that much time to take some pictures, and then you go to eBay, you see a similar listing, click on it and click sell one like this. And a lot of the information pops up for you. Yeah.
Preach.
Right.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know the process. I think I was just being, lazy about it a little bit. And I like trading and buying on Instagram and Facebook. So, without the fees and without the, extra effort of going through eBay. And I've had a lot of friends who I could buy, sell, and trade with on Instagram. So I haven't really had to do that many listings on eBay. But now I need the money more for my card fund. So I'm like, go straight to the cash source that can expose my cards to the most people. Let me list them on eBay, especially these rare cards that haven't gotten a lot of interest. So let me tie this back to the Tebow card. I've posted this on a bunch of Instagram story sales and Facebook sales ever since I got it at the San Francisco card show, which was probably like close to a year ago at this point, and hardly any interest. I'm into it for like $75 or $100. I listed it at buy it now on eBay for $250, and it sold within that 7-hour span, from night until morning. Like when people are asleep, it sold.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I came back with like 215 out of that, after the eBay fees and the shipping. So I doubled or 2.5 times, in that area, my money on a card that I thought was dead. I thought this card was dead, even though it's cool. I don't mind holding it or displaying it at shows.
Only until it's alive again.
But, it resurrected right there. And so I got a sale on that one. So that was cool, taking what I learned from Crosstown Cardboard and applying it to, my real life. Because I learned that from you. That's a tactic that you've been putting in place that's been really good. So that was cool to see it work, and encourages me to keep listing stuff that might not have gotten a lot of interest elsewhere, but might get that interest on eBay. And I also sold this Anthony Davis National Treasures triple patch, the Game Gear.
On eBay.
On eBay. Yeah.
Nice.
It's numbered out of 25. And I sold this for 65, which netted me like 58, 56 around there after the fees. And I think I was into it for like 40, 35. I got it at the National in a bigger deal. So that was all right. Just move it out, move it in, move it out. Little Tony Gwynn. So I had a big win on eBay, and I had a Tony Gwynn on eBay.
A Tony Gwynn.
Yep. It's a big W.
Good.
So So those were my 2 sales on eBay. Now let me get to my couple purchases on eBay real quick.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. So I'm keeping these are small purchases, but PC. So I mentioned a few episodes back that I was thinking of starting a Clemson PC because, I'm covering sports down here. Clemson, of course, one of the biggest programs, South Carolina Gamecocks too, but Clemson football, with the 2 national titles recently, and, everybody, it's a part of the culture down here with college football. And so getting to cover that, being on the sideline, filming it, talking to the players, Coach Dabo and stuff like that, I'm like, that'd be a cool PC to get into. So I've been meaning to do it, and I haven't jumped in yet. But I thought, who's the best Clemson football player I can possibly get?
Jadeveon Clowney. No, that's South Carolina.
That's Gamecocks.
Gamecocks.
But there's several guys. I mean, Trevor Lawrence comes to mind, and DeAndre Hopkins, and guys like that. There's been some great all-time players. but the originator in the Hall of Fame, and I don't know, he might be the only Clemson football Hall of Famer. Don't quote me on that. In the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brian Dawkins, baby.
Sweet.
Brian Dawkins. And shout out to our cousins, Oz and Tony, Cousins Collectibles again, because the Philadelphia Eagles, they also got that huge win over the Cowboys as just before we started recording this episode. But anyway, so I'm like, Brian Dawkins, that'd be sick. And so I went to the Clemson football game on Saturday. Like I mentioned, their win over Notre Dame. But I got to go because I have a friend who I went with and who has a cousin who's a student at Clemson. So that cousin got us student section tickets. So I was in the student section of the Clemson game. And then guess when I found out that my offer was accepted on this Brian Dawkins Clemson card, which was the only card that he's in Prism in his Clemson uniform, the only one I could find. So I said, maybe I'll collect the rainbow of this. So I thought that might be a cool way to start. Guess when I found out that I won this card?
At the game.
That's right.
Boom.
In the student section of Clemson. I found out my offer was accepted during their win over Notre Dame, their biggest win of the year. And so that I mean, you talk about coincidences. I mean, I put the offer in, that day, but still, that was pretty cool for that moment to be happening at the moment my Clemson PC is starting. And I'm in Memorial Stadium, doing the chants with the students, having fun.
I was gonna say, side note, I respect your humility, being a guy who's on the sideline, reporting the games, up close and personal for the coaches' handshakes, but you're still a man of the people. You can hang with the student section as well.
Well, it's election week. I mean, that's when this is dropping, so you got to be a man of the people. But it's really, it really just worked out with the friend's cousin being a student there, and then going into the student section, which, by the way, I didn't know, like, people of any age, like, there's parents in the student section sometimes, as long as you just have a student who gets the tickets. So, but that was cool, though. The kids were, by the way, I blended in. It wasn't like,
we're youthful.
We're youthful. And if I shave clean, a lot of these college kids look older than me, to be honest. So, so that was a great experience. Awesome win for Clemson. And at the same time, I won not only that one Brian Dawkins card, but today I won a second one. And this is, like I said, the only year that Brian Dawkins is in his Clemson uniform in the Prism set. So I wanted the most iconic set. What year is it? It's the base card from 2023 Panini Prism Draft Picks. And so I got the blue parallel, which is numbered out of 199, and the purple parallel, so it's a nice color match with the secondary Clemson color with the orange and purple.
Somebody
out of 75.
Somebody find this man the black 101, please.
That'd be incredible.
It's out there. Maybe.
So
maybe
I will put it out there, just like everybody helped with the Larry Bird card. Put it out there for that's so obscure, though. The Brian Dawkins from Prism Draft Picks in his Clemson uniform. But he used to lay the wood at safety. Wow, what a tackler.
That's cool. That's cool. And you could probably collect him at an affordable price, I would assume.
Yeah. I think the one that I bought out of 75, I think, was maybe $10, and the one out of 199 was like $5.
Easy.
So for like $25, I got the start of my Clemson PC, finding out about the win at Memorial Stadium at the Clemson game during Clemson's best win of the year, while in the student section. So it's pretty cool.
That's really cool. The only eBay news I have to share is that I sold a card a couple days ago, and the card is being delivered to a building on 49th Street that I walk past literally every single day for work.
Okay. Wow.
So I could have just dropped this card off, but how wild is that? eBay is a global, worldwide platform.
Right.
And I sold the card to a guy who lives in an apartment that I walk right past every single day.
That's
crazy. This small hobby world we have, but
yeah, that is crazy. We have card connections from South Korea to New York City to Clemson. all over the country too. I mean,
Look at
and
that.
then Poland, Australia, we've done deals.
Yeah.
Canada also.
And New Jersey, which is where I'll be setting up at a show this Saturday, November 11th at Secaucus with Rob, the sports card therapist,
Yes.
Tony from Cousins Collectibles,
Yes.
Cousin Oz, the people's mailman.
Yes.
And it should be a really good time. The promoter is Laz NYC on Instagram. I have not set up at a show in the longest time. We are not counting the one from a few weeks ago. I have not set up at a proper show in a very long time, and I am ecstatic to be behind the table, wheeling and dealing. In my head, I'm going to be able to sell or trade all these things because they're cool and they're low end and people don't have to break the bank to get them. But we'll see what happens. That's the beautiful thing about going to a show. You can have all these plans, but you show up and be open to anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Open anything, because we've seen anything can happen in the card hobby. So, but yeah, I mean, I think this was an action-packed episode with a lot of cool card developments and stories that we covered, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. And it all started with a quick trip to the LCS. So,
one trip is all it takes.
That's right. That's right. Nice. So, and we had a lot of references in there too. But anyway, thank you. Just the comment that Steven made at the card store for noticing you, Craig, in the podcast just reinvigorates, the importance of why we try to put this out every week and relate to everybody and share our sports card stories and listen to yours and just, continue this positive hobby experience. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
No doubt. Culture Collision 2024.
Yes, we're in January.
All right. I will talk to you next week.
All right, bro.
Peace.